You're listening to CYOP, Create Your Own Pod Venture, APPeal. This branching story follows your choices, changing as you respond to what the story places in your path. What's waiting for you at the end? Keep moving and find out. Now, where were we? After suffering from a rattlesnake bite, you ingest plants which slowed the venom until the EMTs could arrive. After leaving the hospital, you contemplated the next step in APPeal's testing and decide to invest more money into its development. You drum your fingers on the desktop. You don't have a lot of money, that's true, but you have things you can sell. Pop culture paraphernalia, gadgets you don't use anymore, old computer parts which are obsolete for you but would definitely generate some income for the right buyer. Time is something you have in abundance, so you might as well try raising some capital first. You set out to sell what you can. Local marketplaces in this city are all about pop culture, and your collection from past conventions is fairly expansive with some pretty rare pieces. It hurt to part with some of it. The first press EP from Nightshade Table, the signed Silicon Angels mug, your old textbooks which have minimal differences from the most recent editions. You're only mugged once. When you try to sell your superhero figurines to some guy in a King Soopers parking lot. After that encounter, you make sure you do business in safe locations, though it does slow you down a little bit. Eventually, you build up enough cash to purchase some prototype batteries from a Chinese manufacturer, and you port them over into the APPeal's power supply. It definitely improves performance, though not by much. Still, it's something. You run an efficiency test and identify shortfalls in the actual consumption by the processor, so it's back to the computer stores. None of the online retailers can provide what you need in a time frame which makes sense. The home PC craze has completely upset markets which used to stay consistent year over year, and now there's a 6-month wait on even the most basic of CPUs. Part of you wonders at the wisdom of creating such a sophisticated platform, but your pride quashes that worry. You've come this far, you should keep going. Even though you find a second-hand buyer willing to part with their parts, you pay an exorbitant amount of money for it, and it arrives later than you'd like, but in working order regardless. Good enough. You perform the necessary upgrades and power on APPeal. Find the most efficient method of upgrading your hardware, you tell APPeal. The headset whirs as it calculates, and eventually it connects to your desktop PC. It navigates to your Tor browser, and you hastily ensure your VPN is working before it processes the headset's search. A black market website loads, and APPeal displays the necessary search terms on the screen for you to follow. You hesitate. You don't normally use the dark web for much, just the occasional recreational drug purchase when you need to experience a little bit of ego death, but you know the possibilities available on the network, and if APPeal believes that it's the best way to upgrade itself, you're going to follow it. APPeal navigates to some websites with Cyrillic script which you can't read, but apparently the headset can, and directs you to click a sequence of links. You do your best to make sure you aren't ordering massive quantities of drugs or hitmen, and eventually land on a payment page that seems like it's telling you to order some sort of Russian military chip. You can't decode what it is exactly, though. You frown. The dark web and its various shops use Bitcoin as payment, and you have some Bitcoin, sure, but you were going to wait to see if it wouldn't hit a high again. Of course, it's been sitting low for a while, and who knows where APPeal could lead. At least APPeal is consistent in delivering results. You spend the Bitcoin and lean back. Nothing much to do now except wait. Or ask APPeal what is the best way to make money. You're already just above where you need to be to make rent. If you spend on anything except the absolute necessities, you'll be out of an apartment. You go inside and look in your kitchen cabinets and take stock of your grocery situation. It's grim to say the least. You have blocks of instant noodles, sure, and cans of beans, though your freezer and fridge are getting pretty bare. You do some quick mental math and figure out you can at least make it until your next residual paycheck from the university, so long as they don't remember you've slipped through the cracks. Over the next few months, you knock out some basic consultation projects, some freelance tech contracts, various other gigs from job websites. It's not much, and it's not easy, but you pay your rent and only tighten your belt by 2 notches. As the weather gets colder, you bundle up, choosing to leave the heat off to save money on your bills. The pipes in your building are burst, but you manage to convince the landlord of your inconvenience. You don't use a peel during the interim. With the new tech on its way, at some point you don't want to mess with it or get any other ideas to implement later. Spending your Bitcoin isn't something you like doing lightly, so you want to make sure it's a fresh install when it arrives, which it eventually does, though it takes almost half a year of hard, cheap, isolated living before it does. You dust off a peel and crack open the frame to add the chip to its internals. The make isn't quite like the other chips you purchase from your standard suppliers, so you make sure to disconnect a peel from your home network before you turn it on. After some startup diagnostics, you fit the glasses to your face. There's an obvious increase in boot speed and interface responsiveness, and when you give it some basic commands, the response time is clearly enhanced. You make sure your antivirus is up to date and your VPN is active when you re-enable Appeal's network access. Nothing explodes and you don't receive any security notifications, so you figure it's probably not loaded with Russian malware. But what to ask it? In order to test Appeal's new capacity, it should be something substantial, something game-changing. You look around your workshop, now as sparse as it's been since you started this whole project. You think about your apartment, empty of anything you've once enjoyed, low on food and comfort. You had originally set out to develop something which could aim you towards what makes you happy. So far, all you've done is drain your bank account, isolate yourself from anyone in the outside world, and develop a pair of fancy but impressive glasses. Maybe you do deserve some sort of fulfillment. Maybe it would be better to actually put Appeal to use in something big. What do you ask for? If you ask Appeal for money, listen to episode 1.09, also known as More Money. If you ask Appeal for excitement, listen to episode 1.18, also known as Excitement.